Hi, Islamic Dad here. I'm going to do a video that's a little bit different than even the different videos that I sometimes make. So I'll just jump into it. I'll figure out the title later. I was going to talk about something that I know that a lot of other people have noticed when they've started diving into the issue of narcissism and narcissists. And I think everyone kind of has the same journey where they have the bad experience with the narcissist in their life and they don't understand it, and they look for resources to try to make sense of things, and then they find them and they start reading through things, watching videos, maybe talking to other people, and at some point along the line of that healing and learning process, people come to the realization that the narcissists are all reading from the same playbook. And I was just thinking about that today, how bizarre that is, and I don't know how to make sense of that. I'm a big fan of Carl Jung and Jungian psychoanalysis and Jungian psychology. And within Jungian psychology, there's the idea of the archetype, which are these persons, personas, gods, characters, whatever you want to call them, that exist kind of in our, what they would probably refer to as, collective unconscious. That basically there's a reason why so many different religions say have a character like Thoth or Mercury, and why so many different mythologies have a god of the dead who is either half human, half dog, or a human with the head of a dog, etc. Just things that don't make sense at the surface level, without this idea that some way information's being communicated across the entire human race, and irrespective of distance, and possibly even irrespective of time. And so this is a big leap, but I'm a big fan of using different models to try to throw narcissism into, and then see how things fall, to try to make sense of things. And so I thought that it would be interesting to throw out the idea of the narcissist archetype. And what I mean by that, and getting back to the specifics, is that narcissists, one of the lines that people will say a lot, like say in the comments, is OMG, that's exactly what my narcissist used to say. And the playbook, like it's almost ridiculous how every narcissist, when they are in a relationship with their target and they get angry at that target, at one point or another the narcissist is going to point at their target and say, "You're a narcissist." They all do that. And the thing is, it's like, okay, full stop. Why? Are all the narcissists like on the phone at night being like, "Yeah, okay, no one's watching. Please tell me what I'm supposed to say tomorrow because we're going to have a fight." And yet, all narcissists say the same things and act the same way. And to the point that it's just eerie. And it would be one thing to say, say with PTSD. It'd be one thing to say okay, someone was in, say, a war zone or grew up in a turbulent, household, and they ended up, having a defense mechanism where they go into fight or flight mode whenever there's a loud sound. That would be true of many, many, many different people with PTSD. And you could trace it back and say, okay, well, that makes sense because, at this point, in your life, you learned that when there's a loud sound, you're in danger and you need to act accordingly. But the thing is, that's not what's going on here with narcissists. I mean, you can't, I don't think you can point to a narcissist childhood of something they're experiencing when they're, say, 3 years old, and then somehow that teaches them that when they're in a relationship 30 years later to point at their target and say, you're a narcissist. Or something like that. I mean, there's very specific mannerisms, very specific phrases, things like that, that, at least to me, don't simply fit in the same mold as, oh, this is something they learned as a child growing up in a turbulent household. And the thing is, I do agree that there's a lot of narcissistic traits and behavior that you can trace back to their childhood. So if you have a situation where, the narcissist gets extremely defensive when they're criticized. Okay, well, yeah, of course. I mean, if they were criticized to the point of, sobbing tears and crying when they're 3, and it scarred them for life, then yeah, okay, so when they're an adult and they get criticized, they have this visceral reaction because they're 3 years old again. But again, that's very different than, a narcissist doing some of the specific things as far as, sabotaging, relationships, or, using specific, phrases. And, I guess it's not uncommon for, narcissists, or at least in my experience, for narcissists to point at me and say, you're codependent, while I'm in a relationship with them, which I think is, to me, it's just kind of funny because it's okay, and what does that make you then? But yeah, I just wanted to throw out that idea. I don't know where to go with this idea, which is why I don't usually throw things like this up on my channel. But this one's interesting. This one is something that everyone has commented on. It's okay, everyone talks about the narcissist playbook. And this is where it gets creepy, eerie for me. You could have a narcissist right now in Australia who maybe is a 70-year-old grandmother, and she's in Australia, and she's going to use the same narcissistic abuse phrases that a 25-year-old man who lives in Utah is using at the same time on his girlfriend. I mean, they're separated by 3 generations, thousands and thousands of miles, and yet they could be using the exact same phrase at the exact same time for the same purpose. And it's did they ever talk to each other? No. I mean, and that's the thing. It's people have already also pointed out, it's okay, some of these weird things with the narcissist behaviors and traits, sometimes narcissists say things that normal people don't. And again, it's just not simply what they're maybe commenting on, but even the phrasing that they use is just something that a normal person never would. So again, I don't understand the reasoning behind it. I just think it's one of those things that is extremely fascinating, and I'm kind of surprised that while everyone can agree about this metaphorical the narcissist playbook where they all read and it's like, oh, I at 3 months I need to do this, and at 6 months I need to do this, and at 9 months I need to use this phrase and do this. Like, everyone jokes about that, but it's just like, okay, full stop. Where's that coming from? Like, why is it all these narcissists of different age, sex, class, country, maybe even eras? I mean, for all I know, narcissists were doing these same strange things in the 1890s. It wouldn't surprise me. And so, it's just one of the things that it's kind of, sparked my mind, because it's one of those things that we all agree that it's true, and I don't think anyone really knows the answer of why. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. And as always, if you guys want to give your guesses or best ideas in the comments, I'd love to read those.